PSOJ seeks to clarify position on Emancipation and Independence Day holidays. Okay, let us hear them. The private sector organization of Jamaica has sought to clarify its position on the Emancipation Day and Independence Day public holidays following media reports, which the organization says misrepresented its stance. So let us hear your stance. We categorically refute claims suggesting that the PSOJ has proposed merging these two significant holidays into a single day. Such assertions are entirely false and do not reflect our actual proposal of our intentions, the PSOJ said in a release Thursday. The private sector lobby group said in a recent submission to the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, it acknowledged the profound historical importance of both Emancipation Day on August 1st and Independence Day on August 6th. These dates separated by a mere 5 days encapsulate Jamaica's journey from the abolition of slavery to the achievement of self-governance. We recognize that these public holidays play a crucial role in celebrating our national identity, preserving our cultural heritage, and providing well-deserved rest for our workforce, which that is important. Well-deserved rest and cultural heritage. Those are two important lines. The PSOJ said. However, private sector group noted that as an organization committed to Jamaica socio-economic development, it's all about profit here, right? And we are not going to swap it for profit. It must also consider the challenges faced by local businesses. What sort of challenges that faced by local businesses? Current arrangement of having two major holidays in such close proximity, it said, often result in extended period of reduced productivity. See where I'm going? As many workers and businesses tend to bridge the gap between these days with additional time off. It's so out of place by the PSOJ. Totally out of place. Right? Because they don't care about our interests, right? And you know what is so important to us as what, you know, left behind by our ancestors, right? They want to step on it for profit, right? Because the two holidays are hurting their profit. Okay. Trelawney, in an apparent response to the private sector organization of Jamaica, proposal for the creation of a single extended weekend holiday period for Emancipation and Independence celebration, Chief Justice Brian Sykes underscored that the celebration of freedom is priceless. Let them know that Justice Sykes, right? PSOJ is totally out of order and out of the place. I would want to think that there are some things in our nation's history that really cannot carry a price tag, right? Let us repeat that, right? I would want to think that there are some things in our nation's history that really, right, cannot carry a price tag. And freedom and celebration of freedom is one of them, Sykes said. In presenting its case for a protracted weekend, the PSOJ argued that having two major holidays in such close proximity often result in extended period of reduced productivity. And so what? And so what? As many workers and businesses tend to bridge the gap between these dates with additional time off. Yes, because those 2 days is going to reduce your profitability, right? And so then, of course, it is profit, right, over people. You have heard what I have just read there, right? And PSOJ, right, concerned about the closeness of, you know, both public holidays come within the same week. And so that seems to be encroaching on their profitability. What say you where that is concerned?
Okay, let me follow up that with something that the Honorable P.J. Patterson, former Prime Minister, said.
Yes.
And it is in relation to the same argument because it has come up before and much to the dismay of many well-thinking Jamaicans. So he said, I've read with great consternation and utter dismay that the government is giving serious consideration to the abolition of August 1st as Emancipation Day and August 6th as our Independence Day. It would be a retrograde step and a severe violation of our ancestry. One marks a commemoration and the other a celebration. It would be a betrayal of all our efforts to promote our own identity as a people. Let me at the outset make it clear that mine is not a partisan political position nor an expression of doubt on the accuracy of the Anderson poll, which was commissioned by the Ministry of Culture back then. That was about 2020. And he goes on to say, to determine where we are going, we must know from whence we came. Slavery is the most heinous crime against humanity. It was not Queen Victoria who set us free. It is the rebellion of our foreparents and their resolute struggle, which, when combined with the drop in economic terms of forced labor, served to hasten the abolition of slavery. The Abolition Act earned £20 million for the slave owners and compelled the slaves to repay them an additional sum of calculated at the time £27 million by their forced apprenticeship for 4 more years. Our inheritance was poverty, disease, ignorance, and homelessness. So for their emancipation, freedom on August 1, 1838, our ancestors paid for their freedom with blood, and taxpayers of succeeding generations paid for a debt which was so huge that payment of the loan, amounting to billions in today's current value, was only completed in 2015.
Okay.
Those are facts. So without emancipation, you cannot have independence.
Yes.
Emancipation, just the word by itself carries so much weight. It is not something to be toyed with. And as he said here, and as history has shown, even after emancipation, there was an apprenticeship. So yes, the free slaves were now working.
Yes.
So it's not, to the person whose emancipation means nothing to, they can say these things frivolously off the cuff and, think about their productivity and not the cultural significance of emancipation and not the cultural significance of independence. So I have a problem with what Metro said. Just the idea that somebody would come up with it is frightening. Let alone come out of their mouths and wanting it to be a policy position. I don't care whether if emancipation, whatever day emancipation falls on, that's the day it must be celebrated. Period.
Yeah.
That's the day but people must be honored. The work of the ancestors. That's the day it must be, that's the reverence of that day must not be tampered with.
Yes.
That is like saying to Americans, abolish 4th of July.
Exactly.
That's like saying to the Canadians, yeah, get rid of your independence, get rid of, all those things. The significance of it must never be underestimated. It mustn't be diminished. It must not be in any way, shape, or form watered down to suit the intentions or the purposes of the 1% for the sake of their bottom line. They already paid with their blood. Black people cannot pay anymore. I'm sorry.
Yes, I think it's a very disgraceful thought just for them to even think about it. Right? Goes to show you that they have no love for the people. John Scott said, Sir Byron, I conclude these guys don't love us. And they have the nerve to suggest because of productivity, they want to mess with our history and our identity. Well said, John Scott, which definitely that is true. Brother Rattigan, let me turn the table to you. What say you based on the discussion here?
Let me just say, I'm looking in the chat, right? And I think, and I didn't go all the way down, so forgive me, folks, if I left off some of your comments. But I looked at Marie's comment, I looked at Monica's comment, I looked at Patel's comment, I looked at Freedom's comment. I mean, those comments sum up everything that we're discussing here. I cannot escape, or what shouldn't escape us, is the symbolism. You're a strong, educated black man advocating for the separation of these two holidays because they mean two different things to us, two significant and important things. And on the other side, you have another rich man.
Exactly.
You have a strong black educated man on this side, and you have another man on that side.
Yes.
Folks, read between the lines.
Read between the lines. And
read between the lines.
As what Freedom said, put up what Freedom said. Because what Freedom says makes sense. The Psoj say, our history, we must remember which side of the fence many of their ancestors were on and which side of the fence our ancestors were on. Sounds like they want to roll back history. So true, Freedom. Right. And there you have it.
And so let me just add a few more points. First thing that came to mind, other than looking at Freedom's and the other folks, their comments, which, I mean, it's right on, the comments are right on point. First thing that came to mind is, why no? Why no? We've had these holidays for quite some time. Why no? And why them? Why them?
Yes.
I mean, it's so weird. If anybody should be asking for, a joining of the holidays, it should be people like us, Exactly. But somebody else whose foreparents didn't go through the struggle and the suffering and the degradation, they're coming and say, yeah, enough for now. Not just put the two of them together and just have one thing. Somebody, I don't remember who, made a good point in the chat. They said, look, if you're talking about the holidays being too close, how about Easter Sunday, Good Friday? How about Christmas and Boxing Day? I mean, we don't hear anything about that.
All right.
Because I guess they like those holidays, But here's the thing. I took some notes off of the things the articles that you read. They said that it's going to disrupt the economy regarding manufacturing, tourism, and agriculture. What manufacturing? Have they looked at the stats coming out of stats? What manufacturing they're talking about?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
When they talk about tourism, tourists going to come anyway and people will be working anyway. It will not be affected. Agriculture, don't forget St. Elizabeth, the bread basket of Jamaica, wipe out. Don't forget that. So these are all foolish reasons they're putting up there saying it's going to affect tourism, agriculture, and manufacturing. It's pure nonsense. It comes on and reduce productivity. I don't understand these people. It's unadulterated nonsense, and we know why they're doing it.
But hold on, Rattigan. Look who they're looking to as a model: Singapore and Japan. Or it is done in Singapore and in Japan, and where they have these long holidays. Where they, and I'm like, the Singapore situation is different from the Jamaican experience.
When them start talking about Singapore and Japan, my blood start boiling because the first thing I want to ask them, do we have the same corruption problem that they have right there?
No.
Make the comparison. Do we have the same problem? In Japan, when people commit corruption, the same people who commit corruption, them commit suicide. Them take for themselves. And in a Singapore, we say the corruption is there, but it's minuscule compared to Jamaica. So when them come and talk this nonsense about Japan and no, let's talk about the Jamaican experience. This is what we're faced with. And folks, it is pure, unadulterated foolishness they're talking about. We need to have both holidays. They should not be combined because they mean two different things. One of them is freedom from slavery. One of them is freedom from colonialism. Although we know we're not really free from colonialism, but it's like a token thing, it's symbolic. But it was better than before, right? So let's keep them separate and let's celebrate them separately.
But also, Rattigan, remember now, let's not forget that it was not just recent memory that people who look like you, Rattigan, you, Mystic Amir, and myself could not work in a store downtown Kingston. You know who worked in those stores? Those high-colored people from uptown. Mm-hmm. You couldn't go down Times Square and just walk the length of Times Square. Yes, it was Times Square, you call it down in downtown Kingston there, right? Times Store, sorry, Times Store, Butter Shoe Store, all those stores, downtown Kingston, were who are in the person who were the shoe sellers, the clerks in those stores did not look like you and myself. The bank tellers did not look like you and myself. It was not until the Michael Manley era of the 1970s that changed all of that. The hotel worker, a black person could not walk into a hotel in Jamaica. So when you talk about emancipation and celebrating emancipation, it comes from all the pain and the struggles and the blood, sweat, and tears of the slave years. And then you add to that apprenticeship, and then you further add to that how black people were treated in Jamaica. They weren't given the best part of the lands. They were sent into the hills. Born Jamaicans, black Jamaicans, were sent into the hills to farm land which was stolen. And it took a Michael Manley to come and say, no. We need to have the people have some sense of themselves. That is what changed all of that. So people who look like you and I will have a different perspective altogether and will be incensed when somebody dares to think that emancipation and independence should be lumped in and just celebrated as a holiday when it is more important and more involved than that. Don't insult our intelligence and don't mess with our days. You know, and the thing is, their ancestral history is different from ours. Our ancestral experience is totally different. And we honor that by making sure we are standing on those shoulders of those who came before us, you know. They did it so we didn't have to do it. So don't you dare think that we're not going to stand up and defend Emancipation Day.
Exactly.
You know, we're a very forgiving people, because in some countries, this nonsense would be the cause of riots. We're very forgiving people. We're very tolerant. And I hope they stop this nonsense. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that PSOJ has set itself up as the arbiter of what's good for Jamaica, right? Then come out and, how come they're so silent about education? How come they're so silent about housing? How come they're so silent about health? How come they're so silent about the Prime Minister's statutory declaration? By the way, another report that was sent to Parliament to be tabled today. And this one I look serious to, because it have the special report and it have this report and all of these ancillary reports. But how come they're not involved in that? That is where you start talking about development.
Ratigan, how come they're not involved in the Coke port find?
All right.
My case is.
But you know, Ratty, as you just said, as it relates to the certain issues that the PSOJ need to get involved. We need to hear their voices as it relates to corruption, as it relates to poor health care, as it relates to a dilapidated education system, right? There's silence on that. And then you see, notice, right, that the PSOJ would never come out and say something like this under People's National Party administration. They have never done it before in terms of what they mentioned here, and this is what again hit the Andrew Holness administration, because the PSOJ think that they have a free reign, right? And so then this administration, right? I mean, just allow the PSOJ to do whatever they need to do. And that is why one of the reasons why the PSOJ is not calling out the wrong of this government. Even when the wrong is so blatant, the blatant corruption, PSOJ lag behind and nothing. And whenever Mark Golding, the opposition, do something, PSOJ rush out and speak on it. And so then you can see the actual biasness as it relates to the opposition and the incumbent government, right? Nothing that the PSOJ, all now the PSOJ, right, don't come out and speak as it really, and let me remind PSOJ what they need to speak on. If you look at the situation with Rural Reid, who has been charged and put before the court, right? And yet, You have Royal Reid is now on the campaign trail doing all of that. And no one, Psoj has not come out, right, and spoken anything, right, in relation to that, in terms of, I mean, look, you have to have somebody strong enough, or a system strong enough in identifying certain wrong. When these people need to take with themselves, but they are so emboldened, right? They want to rub it in the Jamaican people's face that we can be wrong and strong, right? It just seems like we're really saying, don't worry about me, man. Everything okay. You understand? I am not worrying about my court issue because this government will take care of me. And so then Royal Reid will now say on the campaign trail, you understand, that this government is the best government to him, because under this government, he will, which appears to him, will be getting away with his corruption. So then this is what we need to call out. Now,
but before you move on, Byron, you know, earlier before I came and I had a conversation with a young doctor in Jamaica, and I asked him to give me a sense of, you know, the pulse of the politics in Jamaica, how the people are responding, how they really feel. And he said, you know, the people really are upset. And you know, he talk about infrastructure, and we know talk about, but the same, the roads are falling apart because the people, you know, the money is not being given to the people who have the skill set and the tools to do it. And he also talked about being a medical doctor, and he said the health system is crap. It's crap.
exactly.
But he cannot say anything. He cannot come out and say anything because he's, you know, medical. They are Muslim. They cannot speak out. They cannot strike. None of that. So they just have to work in the conditions that they're working. And he said that is one of the reasons that these professionals choose to leave. And he also brought up Beryllium Regional. And, you know, so I said to him, what about people, you know, striking and stuff? You know, are they afraid to strike? He said that, you know, people are really afraid, but it's the 9-day talk. So they talk about it for a few days and they forget about it. But he said, what is sticking right now is the Prime Minister's 28 bank accounts, his statutory declarations not certified, and people, you know, saying, you know, all these millions of dollars going unaccounted for, when they look, they don't have schools, you know, when they look, the hospitals are broken, the roads are broken. And so that is really, that's what people are saying. And he says he doesn't see how the Prime Minister is going to survive this, because this is really hitting people where it hurts the most, because they cannot go to the bank. Because I even said to him, just for the heck of it, just go to the NCB tomorrow and open a bank account without any money. So they'll say you're crazy. And he said that's what people are saying. And he is also saying that even the ghetto youths, it's not a term I like, but you know, young people that live in garrison communities and urban communities, they are saying that they make more money scamming because look at the government that is so corrupt and nobody is holding them accountable. So they don't want them to come out and say anything to them about them being scammers, because they're the biggest scammers. Exactly. So you see the vicious cycle that is happening right there.
Yes.